Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing M&B Bannerlord, specifically the Realm of Thrones mod, the Game of Thrones Total Conversion mod, and we're going to be talking about the top 10 best wives in the game based on how good of a general they are. So how good of a war party commander are they? And so this will be based on a number of different skills, the primary of which being tactics and leadership, and then after that, of course, personal combat skills are considered as well. But again, it mostly comes down to their tactics and leadership ability for how good they are at this. With all that in mind, we're just going to start it off at number 10 and move our way up to number 1. So 10 being the worst, 1 being the best. And the way that you find people to marry in this game is by doing the following process. You go to your notes menu, which on the computer or on PC, it's going to be by pressing the N key on your keyboard. Then you're going to click the Heroes tab, and then you narrow it down to who you're looking for. So if we're looking for a wife, we're going to click Female, and then Status, we obviously want them to be alive, and then you can narrow it down by Culture. But importantly here, we're going to do Lord or Lady because they're the marryable people. And then, of course, as the marital status, we want them to be not married since we're looking to marry them. And so then we just narrow it down by culture. And our first person we're going to be looking at today is a member of the Free Folk. So we're going to click on that. And that will bring us to Val of the Radar, who is our first person. And so she takes the number 10 spot. If you don't remember Val from the story, it's probably because you've only seen the show. I don't know if she's ever even mentioned in the show, but she's a bigger part in the books. And so we have, for traits, quite a few of them, close-fisted and cruel being negative, but honest, daring, and calculating being positive, so not all bad for traits. As for her stats, we'll just be talking about stats at the beginning of the game. I'm already probably 100 days into the game on this playthrough, if not more, so obviously some of the stuff will look different, but I have a list that I'll be referencing of all of the stuff at the beginning of the game. So she starts off at age 21, charm level of 60, trade level of 20, steward of 41, and tactics of 60, leadership of 60, and her highest combat skill is level 130, and we can see that's in one-handed, but she also has one-handed and polearm, 100 and two-handed, 110 in throwing, 80 in bow, 100 in riding, 110 in athletics. So combat-wise, pretty solid across the board. Definitely better than a lot of the people that are available to marry. Like I said, she's from the Free Folk, so that'll be the people north of the Wall in Westeros. If you don't, like I said, if you don't remember, because I don't know if she's ever mentioned in the show, she plays a pretty big part in the books, specifically in A Feast for Crows, because she's kind of like their version of a princess, the Free Folks version of a princess, so Stannis wants to use her for a political marriage. But all of that aside, she makes a pretty solid wife. She definitely starts out the game young enough and with good enough stats to be a great option, and like I said, on this list specifically, we're looking at leadership and tactics, and so 62 for leadership and 60 for tactics, definitely not bad. So, like I said, Val is pretty good and takes the number 10 spot for the best generals that you can get as far as marrying wives in this game goes. So that's number 10. At number 9, we have TALLA Tarly, the sister of Sam Tarly, who, if you remember from the story, is the fat guy who joins the Night's Watch and becomes a good friend of Jon Snow. He is the son of Randyll Tarly, and so TALLA, being his sister, is the daughter of Randyll Tarly. She starts the game at age 22 with a charm skill of 40, trade of 81, steward of 101, tactics of 60, leadership of 60, and her highest combat skill is level 1, so nothing too impressive there. The only thing that makes her take this spot on this list is that she's got 60 for tactics and 61 for leadership. Again, not tip-top, tier 1 type stuff, but significantly higher than the vast majority of the options for wives in this game, at least out of named characters from the lore. So like I said, she does take the number 9 spot, and does a pretty good job at it. So that's number 9, TALLA Tarly. Then at number 8, we have YARA GREYJOY. You'll remember her as the daughter of Balon Greyjoy, the sister of Theon Greyjoy, and so the character she is in the books is actually Asha Greyjoy, but there was already an Asha and they didn't want to confuse people for the show, so they renamed her to YARA. But all of that being said, she's a pretty solid wife here in the game, at least as far as a general goes, so someone to lead a war party for you. She starts the game at the age of 23, so plenty young. Charm skill of 60, trade of 41, steward of 60, tactics of 100, leadership of 100, and her highest combat skill is actually 230, so that's in polearm, and then obviously she's got 220 in one-handed. So pretty solid combat skills starting off. So great option there. Personal combat skills nice and high. She starts off with good armor, and of course, the important thing for this list, level 100 in leadership and tactics. All of that put together makes her a pretty dang good war party commander. So if you want to marry someone and have them lead a war party for you, YARA GREYJOY is a great option. For traits, she has close-fisted and cruel. Neither one of those are particularly great for a wife, but for a war party commander, they're actually not bad. Nice option here, starts off nice and young. You can use her for all sorts of stuff because she's got good stats across the board, but if you want someone to lead a war party for you, YARA GREYJOY is an excellent option. So that's number 8. Let's move on to number 7. And so at number 7, we have YGRITTE, the person who kind of hooks up with Jon Snow in both the books and the show, and then meets a fate later on down the line that Jon Snow doesn't quite appreciate. So you should remember her because she does play a pretty big part in both stories. As for her traits, we have daring and merciful, so pretty good traits there. For a wife, could be better for being a general, but daring is obviously a good one there. She starts off the game at age 20, so nice and young. Charm level of 80, trade of 60, steward of 81, tactics of 100, leadership of 100, and her highest combat skill is level 150, and you can see that we have that in several skills here, one-handed, two-handed, and polearms. So yes, YGRITTE takes the number 7 spot on this list, and she is a really solid option. And of course, being nice and young and all that sort of stuff, you can also have plenty of children with her if you want to. So she is part of the Giantsbane clan in this game, so if you want to talk to her, you got to talk to Tormund, or if you want to marry her, you'll eventually have to talk to Tormund about it. But yeah, YGRITTE is a great option, and like I said, takes the number 7 spot. Alright, at number 6, we've got MEERA Reed, the daughter of Howland Reed. If you remember from the story, she's the one who helped Bran go beyond the wall. She starts off the game unmarried, but in this playthrough, she is married. But that being said, she starts at age 18, so nice and young. Charm skill of 80, trade of 81, steward of 100, tactics of 100, leadership of 100, and her highest combat skill is 150, and you can see that, again, we have that spread across 3 different skills, one-handed, two-handed, and polearm. So combat skills are all good here. Tactics and leadership, both at 100, obviously is what earned her this spot, and of course, it also helps that she's nice and young, too, because not only can you marry her and have plenty of children with her, but starting off with such good skills at such a young age means that she's only going to have lots and lots of time to get better and better and better. So traits for her, we have honest and impulsive. Impulsive is not the best for a war party commander. In fact, it's one of the ones I would say is the worst for them, but it doesn't make a huge difference. But honest is good for a wife. So MEERA Reed is a solid option for a wife, especially if you want her to lead a war party, and she takes the number 6 spot on this list. Then at number 5, we have OBARA Sand, so one of the Sand Snakes. She starts off the game at age 27, so a little bit on the older side. So if you want to marry her and have kids, I recommend starting right away. But she does come with a charm skill of 80, trade of 81, steward of 100, tactics of 120, leadership of 120, and her highest combat skill being 190, that being in polearm. That being said, one-handed isn't far behind at 180, so a solid warrior starting off, good armor, good weapons, and obviously great weapon skills. And her tactics and leadership being both 120 makes her above the vast majority of available wives in the game, so pretty dang good at being a war party commander. Like I said, she starts off the game unmarried, but in this playthrough, she has married into the Blackfish clan of the Riverlands. Traits starting off, we've got Cautious, which isn't the best for a war party commander, but it's not terrible, and Calculating, which is obviously quite good for a war party commander. So yeah, OBARA Sand takes the number 5 spot on this list. For the number 4 spot, we go to another Sand Snake, that being NYMERIA Sand, so she's the next youngest of them. And she starts off the game at age 24 with a charm skill of 60, trade of 81, steward of 101, tactics of 120, leadership of 120, and her highest combat skill is 160, which you'll see in polearm. So again, pretty solid option across the board. Obviously, leadership skills are the things that we mostly care about here, that being level 120 in leadership and tactics, so that's the thing that makes the biggest difference. But also nice high combat skills, good weapons and armor, all of that is considered as well, and also younger age. As for who she is, like I said, she's one of the Sand Snakes, the daughters of Oberyn Martell, so you'll remember them from the story. Traits for her, we have honest and daring, both of which are quite good for both a wife and a war party commander. So yes, NYMERIA Sand takes the number 4 spot on this list. At the number 3 spot for the best generals that you can marry in this game, we have LYSA ARRYN, and so she is 47 in this playthrough. She starts the game at level 45, has a charm skill of 100, trade of 121, steward of 141, tactics of 120, leadership of 120, and her highest combat skill is 120, and you can see she has that in one-handed, two-handed, and polearm. So pretty solid stats all across the board, obviously pretty dang good at being a war party commander, which is why she takes the number 3 spot on this list. Really, the only negative thing about her, other than the fact that you might not like her character from the story and therefore don't want to be married to her. But the only negative thing game-wise is that she is 47, so you can't have children with her in the story. So if you want to marry a wife and crank out a lot of kids, she's not the one to do it with. But that being said, she does come with 2 children who, if you marry her, they'll join your clan. So that's, you know, maybe compensation for it. Trait-wise, we have honest and close-fisted. Both of those are fine for this. They don't negatively impact her ability to be a war party commander. Basically, you're just having to deal with being married to someone who is deeply unlikable in both the books and the show. So yes, LYSA ARRYN takes the number 3 spot for the best generals out of all the wives that you can marry in this game. Then at number 2 for our best generals, we have Melisandre, and she is the priestess of R'hllor and advisor to Stannis Baratheon. Hopefully you remember her from the story, considering she does play a pretty big role and makes a lot of major things happen in the story. She starts off the game at age 34 with a charm skill of 160, trait of 122, steward of 140, tactics of 140, leadership of 140, and her highest combat skill is 55, which she has in the bow. So combat skill isn't too impressive, and she doesn't start off with like super good weapons or armor, but obviously her skills other than that are pretty solid. Tactics of 140 and leadership of 141 puts her well above the vast majority of people that you can marry in this game, at least for named characters from the books or the show, and so Melisandre takes the number 2 spot on this list. She has 35, which is getting up there in age for a wife, but on the bright side, I have tested it out, and you can have children with her. I married her and started as early as possible, and we did have children together. So if you want to have a wife that can be a great general starting off, especially if you give her some better armor, but can also produce children as long as you get started early enough, Melisandre does take the number 2 spot on this list. So that's number 2. Let's move on to the number 1 best wife for leading a war party in this game. And so at number 1 for being a general, we have Daenerys Targaryen, who you should recognize whether you've seen the show or the books or whatever, maybe even just heard about it in passing, considering she's one of the main characters from the show. On the bright side, she is not a clan leader in this mod, which was a good choice because that makes her marryable. So yes, you can marry Daenerys Targaryen in this mod. She starts the game at age 22, so nice and young. Charm skill of 20, trait of 120, steward of 140, tactics of 160, leadership of 160, and her highest combat skill is 150. And you can see she has that in one-handed, two-handed, and polearm, so all good there. So obviously she takes the number 1 spot because of those nice high tactics and leadership. She's got 160 in both of those, making her the highest level wife for those 2 skills available in the game. As for her traits, she does have generous and calculating, both good skills for a wife, and calculating is obviously a good one for someone that wants to be a general. She is part of the Targaryen clan and is Valyrian in culture. An excellent option, nothing bad to say about her. She's nice and young, you can have plenty of children with her, and she has really good skills at everything, so she's a good wife at any role that you might want her to be because her skills are just really good across the board. But if you want a wife specifically to lead a war party for you, to lead people into combat, she's the best one available in the game. So, like I said, that is all 10 of the best wives that you can marry in this game based on how good they are at being a war party commander or a general. Hope you enjoyed this video, hope you found it useful, but that's all for today. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.